Hi, I'm David Brancaccio. As the film comes to an end, let's stay together for a few more minutes to get some new perspectives from folks with long experience trying to, if you will, fix the future. Joining me is a wonderful panel to help us think about where to go from here. Environmental writer, environmental thinker, environmental leader, Bill McKibben, founder of 350.org. We also have Majora Carter, a leader in community building and bringing sustainability to urban neighborhoods, and host of the Peabody-winning public radio series, The Promised Land. I also want to welcome to the panel Mike Brady, President and CEO of Greyston Bakery. It is a sustainable business focused on community economic renewal. It makes brownies for a profit. It's also a foundation. Mr. Brady, thanks for being here. And we have you, who took the time to come together across the country to look at ways the economy can be fixed to better serve the needs of your community, the country, and the world. Okay, so we're just watching in the film my new best friend. Steve Beckett is his name. He's the sailor on the boat there in Maine. And he says, there's that line, right? He says, "We have this arbitrary economic system that we've grown up in, believe in, contribute to, and work in. If it's not working anymore," Steve says, "then let's do something different." So let's give it a shot about how we might go about that. Majora, I want to start with you. What about the times we live in now leads you to think that you could take action to build a more sustainable economy?
It's because of the times we live in that I feel we have to do something that really speaks to the needs that are out there, that speaks to the hopes and the aspirations, that even speaks to the fears that people have about what their future is. It really is about creating a system that supports people in their own hometowns. Even in the toughest of times, it's in those very places when, if given an opportunity, people can grow and shine.
Bill McKibben, I got to try a name on you. Klaus Schwab, not Charles Schwab, but Klaus, the founder of no less than the World Economic Forum. These are the Davos people, the great and the good, who come together in Switzerland every winter. At the latest Davos conference, in one of the opening statements, Mr. Schwab says this, here's the quote, "Capitalism in its current form," he says, "no longer fits the world around us." Continuing the quote, "A global transformation is urgently needed, and it must start with reinstating a global sense of social responsibility." What do you make of that at that level?
If they're figuring it out at Davos, it's a good sign that they're sort of catching up with what normal people knew a long time ago. Our economy's, not working for us on any number of grounds. I spend most of my life working on the ways that it doesn't work environmentally. I mean, the temperature of the planet is going up. Its ice is melting. Its oceans are acidifying. That's the environmental impact of what we're doing. But it's not working in lots of other ways, too. And you saw them as you went around the country. The thing that's remarkable about these new enterprises is not just that they're ecologically sound, say, it's that they're socially sound, too. The thing that's great about a farmer's market, which is the fastest growing part of our food economy and has been for a decade now, the thing that's great is not just that it's ecologically sounder, it's that the average shopper there has 10 times more conversations per visit than the average shopper at a supermarket. It's really what we're evolved to want. The aberration is the last 60 or 70 years, this model of a kind of high consumer society where we become super individuals.
You spend so much of your time trying to solve such a big problem, CO2 in the atmosphere and its connection to climate change. When you see these stories in local communities, are you saying to yourself, why are we talking about this locally? Why are we talking about this at a smaller scale?
Oh, it's very true that we also have to be working at a global scale, because the only thing that can really derail, I think, this coming revolution in our economies, the only thing that can derail it is the fact that we've so degraded the planet. We saw this in my home state in Vermont this last year. We've gone as far as anybody in the country, maybe farther, in building a local food system and infrastructure. It's really important. But then Hurricane Irene came in. the worst storm that's ever hit Vermont. I mean, record rainfalls, just what the climatologists have been predicting. It did a lot of damage to roads and bridges, but it also washed away an awful lot of those beautiful local farms that people had spent the last 20 years building. So we have to work globally. That's what we do at 350.org. But one of the reasons we do it is to provide some margin so that we can make this transition to a more workable economy. And the good news is that that transition is happening, starting. Last year, the USDA said that for the first time in 150 years, there were more farms in this country instead of fewer. The biggest demographic trend in our nation's history has bottomed out and begun to reverse, and it's all at the small end of the scale. It's all because people want that food and that contact from and with their neighbors again.
Let's bring Mike Brady into the conversation. Mr. Brady, we want to learn from your experience. How does your work, Greyston Bakery, fit into both this global sense of social responsibility that we were talking about, while at the same time, because we had the word global in it, while at the same time nurturing the local community?
Greyston's been around for 30 years, primarily trying to eradicate poverty in a small community in Yonkers. And through that time, we've learned a lot around the processes of how you work with people, what it means to take them from a position where they're not sustainable as individuals to a place where they can support themselves. But we serve global companies. I want other businesses to realize that they can take our model and implement it in their communities and work with their global partners. So for 25 years, we've been partners with Ben & Jerry's, providing 400,000 pounds of brownies per year to their business. They are an amazing partner. We need to think about it on the global level, but why not start with a small business in a community where you have relationships and you can start saying, what can I do within my organization to make a change? It might be hiring people, but it might just be working with different types of vendors. It might be your cleaning products, whether you're processing, doing your packaging. What we work towards is an open hiring model. So everyone that works at our bakery comes to the front door and they say, we need a job. Next time we have a position open, we'll hire them. We don't bother to ask questions. We say everyone needs a chance.
But I just want to understand this. Don't you have shareholders screaming at you to sell more brownies?
We do absolutely need to deliver on our bottom line. And that's like any business.
But you're a special kind of corporation.
We are indeed. We are a benefit corporation.
A B Corp, a benefit corporation.
Indeed. February 12th of this year, we were recognized as the first benefit corporation in New York State. Mm-hmm. We're very honored to have been able to be recognized as that, and we hope to set an example for other benefit corporations.
But that's for profit, but what else?
For profit, but now as the president and CEO, I can make decisions that I believe are going to be just and important based on social justice issues or environmental impact, along with profitability.
All right, let's talk some more turkey here. We got people who are sitting in a space. They've seen some of these examples around the country. They've heard us speak a bit, but they want to know what to do next and how to do it. So given the experience of this panel, people have been through some of this, what's the best piece of advice you can give people, Bill?
I confess I'm still trying to imagine the 400,000 pounds of brownie. Look, there are so many people with so many good ideas in almost any community in this country. And there's very few things that they need to make them work. Often they need some capital. That's why it's good that we're beginning to see the rise of local capital again, instead of huge money center banks controlling all the lending in the country. One of the things we're starting to realize is that we get past the model where businesses see businesses around them as competitors and instead see them as collaborators, building a working local marketplace. You were in Bellingham, Washington, you know? Absolute model of what we're trying to accomplish. There's probably no city in America that's gone further down this local path.
Majora, I want to ask you, the film has a very diverse, I think, cast of people, different backgrounds, different traditions, bringing their skills to bear on some of these issues. What do you think has to happen, in your view, to be sure that all stakeholders are empowered and involved if you're trying to plot a better future for one of these places?
Well, bottom line is everyone's got to be acknowledged. that they have something to offer, that they know their communities really well, that they're experts in developing projects and implementing policies that'll improve the quality of life there. So that in and of itself is really important. I think we're a country in a very sad way that hasn't really dealt with race or class. Even though people think we're in this post-racial society, I can assure you we're not. But no matter what color you are, and regardless of your class, there is this fear out there amongst everyone. Even just the face of poverty is looking very different right now.
Listening to you, if you think about it, you can pull together quite a coalition of people in a country that can sometimes be very polarized. You can get a lot of people together around the idea of, so, how's the economy working for you? Oh, it's not? You think it could do better? Just about everybody in a room, perhaps maybe minus a small percentage.
1%.
Will 1%, you say?
1%.
Will raise their hand, saying, yeah. And this could be a source of strength as people think about ways to fix some of this stuff.
I think it's time for people to really come together and think about how do we create the kind of local economic structures that don't degrade the environment or the people that are in them.
Mike, you're the first of these benefit corporations in this part of the world, so you feel all alone? You feel like you're one voice in the business community for some of this stuff? Or to some extent, do you feel it's part of a wider network?
Certainly at times, you feel like you're out there on an island. However, with more and more regularity, I am seeing these discussions. There's a American Sustainable Business Council now that's just been to the White House talking about the importance of sustainability and how business can take a leadership role in that. And as more of those organizations become common knowledge, I think we'll be in a better position as business leaders to be able to talk more openly about the topics. One of the things that was in the film that I thought was so striking and is the fact that we've got north of 45 million people living in poverty, and that's a huge number.
And for people who think we're winning the war on poverty, it's the most number of poor people in my lifetime.
I mean, something's not working, and it's the businesses to understand what is happening, because people are in poverty. A number of them are working. Mm-hmm. And that's a challenge, and so these types of issues need to be resolved, and I think the business discussion needs to be more focused on these types of issues.